I'm kind of pitching myself here as somebody who's an experienced investor, but always, I'm definitely new to this business as well. I just want to speak about this product and just how much, it has really helped me, propel myself, get better with talking with sellers, actually be able to close a deal. My strategies right now have been primarily direct mail, cold calling, and cold texting, and I've found a lot of success with Real Estate IQ, especially being able to get in front of customers, have engaging conversations, and of course, I'm hoping to use all of that to build my own business and eventually retire off.
Excited to be here, and I want to say a big thank you to Real Estate IQ. They have the absolute top leads in the industry and just make investing effortless for all of us as real estate investors here in Texas and obviously everywhere else that they're focused. And I'm proud to be associated with Real Estate IQ. Love what you guys do and love how you all help investors so that we can focus on the thing that makes us the most money, which is the job of real estate investing.
I wanted to jump on this morning and give a shout out to Real Estate IQ. I began my journey with them a few years ago, just using some of the more basic products, the off-market leads. And since then, growing and visiting and talking with not only Steve, but other people who are involved with Real Estate IQ, I've had the opportunity to actually not only be a client, but I also became an investor with them. And that is one of the beauties of being able to be part of Real Estate IQ, is it gives you the opportunity to grow as an investor, especially in real estate.
I'm kind of pitching myself here as somebody who's an experienced investor, but always, I'm definitely new to this business as well. I just want to speak about this product and just how much, it has really helped me, propel myself, get better with talking with sellers, actually be able to close a deal. My strategies right now have been primarily direct mail, cold calling, and cold texting. And I've found a lot of success with Real Estate IQ, especially being able to get in front of customers, have engaging conversations. And of course, I'm hoping to use all of that to build my own business and eventually retire off.
Excited to be here, and I want to say a big thank you to Real Estate IQ. They have the absolute top leads in the industry and just make investing effortless for all of us as real estate investors here in Texas and obviously everywhere else that they're focused. And I'm proud to be associated with Real Estate IQ. Love what you guys do and love how you all help investors so that we can focus on the thing that makes us the most money, which is the job of real estate investing.
I wanted to jump on this morning and give a shout out to Real Estate IQ. I began my journey with them years ago, just using some of the more basic products, the off-market leads. And since then, growing and visiting and talking with not only Steve, but other people who are involved with Real Estate IQ, I've had the opportunity to actually not only be a client, but I also became an investor with them. And that is one of the beauties of being able to be part of Real Estate IQ, is it gives you the opportunity to grow as an investor, especially in real estate.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's exclusive event with Real Estate IQ. It's another Thursday, so it means it's another good learning session from Real Estate IQ. Hello, everyone. We're thrilled to have you joining us today. It's 11 a.m. And today we will be uncovering some of the most important information that real estate investors must have in order to navigate through uncertain markets. So at Real Estate IQ, we're very passionate about empowering investors with the right tools, data, and strategies to succeed in today's market. As a lead generation company, we have helped thousands of investors find off-market leads, negotiate smarter, and build high-value portfolios. And our mission is very, very simple: to help one more person to win. Well, today, without further ado, we're honored to have Steve Liang, one of the co-founders of Real Estate IQ, join in with us today to teach about pre-foreclosure. Steve is a seasoned real estate investor whose proven strategies have unlocked thousands of lucrative deals. With years of experience navigating pre-foreclosures, mastering negotiation tactics, and growing a high-value portfolio, Steve has a wealth of practical insights to share with us today. His expertise has transformed the way investors approach off-market opportunities, and he's also here to reveal the secrets that can take your portfolio to the next level. And I'm sure that Steve also has today some case studies that he will share today. So I want everyone get ready to take notes, ask questions, and learn from only the best. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Sophia. Thank you for the intro. Good
Yeah.
to see you.
Good to see you too. Go ahead and take on the spotlight.
All right. Welcome, everybody. So first of all, I congratulate you for joining us and learn more about this well-kept secret. We call it Preforeclosure Goldmine. Now, you might be wondering, why do we call it the gold mine? Let me just tell you the amount of profit we're talking about. So now, in order to understand pre-foreclosure, we got to really understand what foreclosure is about. foreclosure auctions, depending on where you are, happens about every month, maybe depending on what state you're in. It could be every week. And it allows banks or maybe the county, depending on what kind of foreclosure it is, to auction off properties that have been late on their payment. You can usually get the deal at 50 to 75% off of the market value. Okay. It's deal by deal, right? Depends on what deal and what deal. If you haven't been to a live auction, I highly encourage you to do that. Actually, I have recorded a video that I took a couple of days ago, and we're gonna share that in a little bit. It's pretty chaotic, and it's a big event, and you really want to be there if you're really serious about being in real estate investment. Even if you don't participate in the auction, you should definitely check it out. Depending on how your county organizes it, it could be several trustees auctioning off in different places, and people just kind of crowd the trustee that is auctioning off that property. And it could be happening in the same time. And so if you are kind of new to the scene and you want to buy a property at the auction, you need to find the trustee first and make sure you don't miss it when they start the auction. So now the reason you would want to also, okay, so another big tip that we learned is that you want to, you're going to need to pay on spot. So let's say you got the property and you won the bid at $87,000, and it's a $200,000 house. So you're already getting it at a really good discount. But now you need to kind of pay on the spot. So what people do, the folks that are they're actually auctioning off, they will come with a stack of cashier's checks from the bank, and they would have it in different denominations, because you don't really want to have just a check for $200,000, and then because you don't have change, you give them the entire $200,000. Your money and your capital is gonna get stuck there for a while, for quite a few days, before you can get the money back. So you kind of want to have some 50,000. You want to have some, maybe 25,000, $10,000, so you can give them, ideally the exact amount, 87,000. But if not, at least you can do like 90,000, so you don't have a lot of money that just getting stuck in with the officials, and then you're not making any money, any return on the money that is just being there. Okay, so next, let's take a look at, I recorded this video. Let's play it. Okay, we'll watch it, and then I'll also point out a couple of things, and then we'll watch it again, so we can kind of pay a little more attention. Yeah, okay, so really short video, about 10 seconds or so. So a couple of things, I'm gonna play again, but a couple of things I wanna point out for you is, number one, the lady was announcing and she was making the disclaimers before the auction start. So the auction hasn't started, she was just kind of reading off the things that you should know about before you really actually participate in the auction, such as you're buying it sight unseen, there might be other liens on the property and all that stuff. Another thing to notice is that it's very loud, and it's very hard to hear the person making the announcements. You really need to get really close to the person making these announcements so that you can tell which property is being auctioned off. And then another thing, as you see the camera spanning around, is that people come prepared. They already did their homework, right? They either brought their printouts, right, or they brought their laptop, and because they want to know, they already know how much they want to bid, how much their maximum bid is for any property. And then another thing is, you may not see other folks auctioning off the properties at the same time in this video, but you can kind of imagine a little bit down that way to the right is other folks with other trustees basically auctioning additional properties. So I'm just gonna play this again. I'm gonna stop talking. Yep. Okay. So that's it. You see a couple of players that are actively bidding on the property when the auction actually starts. So very, very interesting stuff. All right. Next. Now there are a couple of drawbacks when it comes to buying at foreclosure auctions. The first one is there is competition. By definition, in an auction, you got multiple bidders bidding up the property. A lot of times it's 1,000 at a time. So they go, 81,000. The next person goes 82, 83. So you keep going until somebody hits the limit and they stop bidding. So you have potentially a very fierce competition. And especially with hedge funds getting into the scene, foreclosure auctions have become very competitive. And some investors are actually complaining that because the hedge funds are so well funded, they're not afraid to overpay for a deal just to win it. And they make it hard for savvy investors to buy at a good price. The second one is, as I mentioned earlier, you gotta be prepared. You gotta have the cash ready in the form of a cashier's check, so you're ready to buy these properties. And then finally, you're buying the property sight unseen, so you're kind of taking a risk, right? If the property has been burned down and it's just a lot, and then you're bidding it as if there's an improvement, a house in there on top of the lot, then you're taking on a big risk. Obviously, there are many ways that you can do to mitigate that risk, and there are services and products available. You can hire somebody to drive by the address and actually kind of check out, just make sure the property is not burned down, and they will take pictures and all that. So there are things that you can do to mitigate these risks, of course. Now, because of the kind of drawback from bidding at the auction, I think the biggest drawback is probably the fact that it's hard if you're undercapitalized, if you don't have a big piggy bank, how do you participate in the auction, right? And so that's why we like to get ahead of the game, right? Buy the property before they hit the foreclosure auction, because number one, you don't have as much competition. A lot of times you're directly interfacing with the property owner, and you can buy it directly from them. You can still get it from for a pretty good discount, and then again, you can directly negotiate with the seller, and you can meet with them face to face and all that, and make sure that you're buying it at a price where you can make a profit. So the natural question is, how can I find these deals and how do I make these deals? There are a lot of these properties. On average, I think last month we found about 6,000 properties that are motivated to sell. And then let's say on average, we're talking about an average of maybe, don't quote me on this, maybe $50,000 to $60,000 of equity per deal. There's a lot of equity in these houses that are going into foreclosure. So all we need is to win one, and we'll feel like we're winning. All right, so that's what this webinar is about. I hope we have kind of piqued your interest. And our promise is that by the end of this webinar, you understand the strategy and the process of how you can win foreclosure properties before they hit the foreclosure, what we call pre-foreclosure deals. From a kind of the type of investor standpoint, if you're new obviously this is a really good class because there's a lot of opportunities in the foreclosure auction. A lot of properties that are going into foreclosure auction that are good candidates for you to reach out to. And if you're an experienced investor, but let's say you have not done pre-foreclosure, this would be a really good way for expanding your channel. From exit strategy, you can wholesale. Let's say you buy the property wholesale. You can do fix and flip. You can also do buy and hold as well at a big discount. All right, so you make the money when you buy it, and now you can do all kinds of exit strategy and profit from it. So reminder, distractions can be very lethal, especially when we're trying to learn. So find ways to be focused, turn off as much distractions and notifications as you can. And feel free to use the chat we're on live stream right now. So feel free to use the chat to ask questions and also interact with each other, introduce yourself. What we find is that a lot of times, I think it's true in many things, it's just difficult to find success when you're getting started or when you're kind of in the middle of the journey. It's all about networking. So what we find is a lot of times when we're attending the same class, the folks that are attending it together, you may find that you may want to partner up together. Obviously, we'll teach you about the pros and cons and what to watch out for when you partner with someone. It's another big kind of art, the art of partnership. But it's always nice that you don't have to do it all by yourself. Okay, so make sure you take advantage of everything this class has to offer. Get connected and stay connected. Disclaimer, everything we presented here is for educational purposes, and you should always do your due diligence when you make any financial decision. We don't offer investment advice, financial or legal advice. Right? Make your own decision. My background is I have experience in marketing, data. I'm kind of a data guy, and we use the data for marketing. So kind of naturally, I'm also a marketing guy. And my background is in science and engineering, and I was always very interested in real estate. And kind of when I learned about real estate investment and the potential of profit that it can bring, it's very exciting. The struggle is that it's hard to find the right knowledge or the knowledge that you need. And then once we know what to do, it's hard to kind of get started because everything starts from the lead generation and the deal finding process. So it's hard to get good data and good technology. And then another big part is every single step when you're doing something new, it's very easy to get stuck. I get to a certain point and go, what do I do now? Right? Especially it's our first deal. And we found it hard to connect with quality people that can kind of show us the way. A lot of times after a couple of deals, we learn how to do it well, and we can become very competent ourselves. We can become like basically a full partner. But in the beginning, you gotta learn. So having high quality people that are trustworthy is very important. And that's why we're at Real Estate IQ would bring these couple of offerings to you. One is webinars, classes, educational items. We also have ebooks that you can leverage and learn more. We also offer really awesome deal finding data. We're also going to start offering deals and kind of financial side of items, because what we realize is that as investors, data is not enough. We need deals, and then once we get deals, we need funding to close the deal. So there just needs to be so much support around us to be successful. And then very, very importantly, we also want to surround you with a community of experts, so you can you can be a part of the community, and we can find success together. Okay, without further ado, really want to get started here. So I got a couple of steps here. Number one is we want to understand the foreclosure process. Why is that important? In order to win pre-foreclosure deals, we need to understand the entire process so we know where and how we can add value to the homeowner. So here's the process. So step one, the borrower has been delinquent for more than 120 days, so about 4 months. Okay, so that triggers the lender to say, hey, we need to send a letter of demand, and the borrower needs to start getting current on their payment. The borrower will have at least 30 days to pay off the delinquent payments, or they will send a notice of default and an intent to accelerate the loan. So basically kind of accelerate a loan and start a foreclosure process. So after the cure period expires, the lender will file a notice of sale at the county the property is in, and you would wait. You would need at least 21 days before it would get auctioned off. So let's say, in Texas, we have the auction that happens on the first Tuesday of every month, which is just 2 days ago. And let's say the filing happened on the first of the month, right? And it's not that Tuesday yet. It's not gonna go into that immediate Tuesday, but it'll go to the following Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. So that at least there are 21 days before the next auction. The property is usually auctioned off between 10 and 4 p.m. Different counties are different. Houston, for example, has the auction at a conference center. Most counties will have the property auctioned off at the courthouse. And it's like rain or shine or snow, it will happen. In fact, just a few days ago at the Dallas auction, it was raining, super hard. So it added more to the noise. It's super hard to hear, and it was wet too. The good thing is there was an overhang and it blocked off most of the rain. But if for some counties where you just need to be there with your poncho, if it rains, if you want to really participate in this. So the property will either sold to the highest bidder, or it will go back to the lender and become a REO. REO stands for real estate owned property. It goes back to the lender. So at foreclosure auction, okay, after it gets foreclosed, the borrower may still owe money even after the foreclosure. And if the total debt is not fully paid off by the foreclosure sales price, the lender may choose to seek what we call a deficiency judgment against the borrower. So what that means is there's a possibility where the homeowner, normally do they lose the house during the auction, they will owe more money. So it's a really tight spot, really bad spot for them. Okay, and a lot of owners need to understand it. Sometimes they just go, I give up. I'm just gonna, let go into foreclosure. Well, not so fast. Maybe you need to consider, what are some consequences if you let it go there. Okay, there are also, the different kind of liens. If there are junior liens on the property, so let's say the foreclosure is about the primary mortgage, and there are maybe some second liens and city liens, all kinds of liens, HOA liens on the property. Well, the foreclosure is gonna wipe out all those second mortgages and junior liens, but the foreclosure doesn't eliminate debt. So even though the lien gets removed from the house itself, right? So that as an investor, let's say you win the property, you don't need to worry about those junior liens. But as the borrower, they are still potentially on the hook. So these lenders can still go after the borrower. Another thing is that you have federal tax, state tax, and local tax liens. They would still survive, which means that, let's say you're the investor, you won the bid, you wanna know what federal liens are on the property. You want to know if there's any state, county, or city tax liens. Those are senior liens, and it's likely that you will still need to pay those liens as an investor. Okay, which is why it's very important to do proper title research. And we have learned, have gained a lot of lessons doing title research recently. And yeah, you gotta be extremely thorough. You gotta have the know-how to do it. All right, next, we need to know which properties are going into the auction, okay? So how do we find out? Well, there are ways you can research the data yourself, or you can buy it, okay? So what the couple of lists that you want to look at is what we call the pre-foreclosure list, the motivation for these motivated sellers, right? And again, our purpose here is to see if we can buy the property before it goes into the foreclosure auction. The market price is between $200 to $300 a month for an entire metro area. Okay, I think it's still a really good investment, because let's say you win a deal, a wholesale deal, and we're talking about $10,000 profit. So it's not that big of a price to be paid. Another thing you can ask for is called the appointment of substitute trustee. So this is another kind of data where in the foreclosure process, if you recall, one of the first steps that the lender would do is they would appoint a local trustee to handle the foreclosure process. And so that's usually a signal, if the appointment of substitute trustee has been filed, that's usually a signal that the house is going to go into foreclosure. So that's what we call a pre-foreclosure. And you get to be more ahead of the game for those, more ahead of the game than the folks that are just looking into pre-foreclosure. And you can do marketing, and you can kind of reach out to them. Perhaps the drawback for this list is that they are not as fully motivated. They know they still have some time. They understand they have a ticking time bomb, but it's not like the foreclosure date has not set usually in this case. So, but it gives you more time to do marketing and kind of nurture these folks. Nurture your leads. All right, so a free way to do it is you can Google your county name, and then you say notice of sale, and you should usually get to a website where you can start looking at the foreclosure document. So this is what a foreclosure document looks like. It talks about, this one has the address, it has when it's gonna show up and all that stuff. There's a lot of information here. Time and date, and the county is going to get auctioned at. And then you will need to do some further research of who the owner is. Sometimes the owner is on this paper. Sometimes you have to do further research. And the amount owed is not public information. So, there's a lot of digging for just one record. And usually, when people ask, should we buy or should we find it ourselves? My typical answer usually is, if you know how to do it, you're better off outsourcing it. If you don't know how to do it, you may want to do it just to learn and appreciate how much work that goes in there. But ultimately, this is not worth our time. It takes 15 to 20 minutes of research for just one property. And when it comes to lead generation, I would want to market to hundreds of prospects, all right, hundreds of leads, because it's always a numbers game. So I want to make sure I market to a good enough of quality leads so that I can win one. It's just not worth it. These are the volume of foreclosure filings in a couple of the major cities that we cover, and it's just not worth the time to do research on every single one of those properties. It's just impossible. It's so much easier just to kind of outsource that. Right? I would do certain things myself in where my time is going to return the most, such as managing the marketing campaign and maybe like doing cold call, making connections with the homeowner. Those are much better return on our time, and that's what I do too, actually. So okay, so let's say we buy on the list, right? I hope I can convince you that it's better outsourced. You if you don't know how to do it, like I said, you may want to learn how to do it. But just because I know how to cook doesn't mean I want to cook every day. Just because I know how to clean doesn't mean I want to clean every day. Oops. So I hope that outsourcing is always if we can do it, I recommend it. Okay, so now if we're gonna buy the list, we also need to understand the quality, right? I don't want to just buy a junk list and then waste my time calling people, and it's not even the freshest list. So a couple of items that I would use for evaluating the quality of a motivated seller list. Number one, especially for foreclosure, is that I want to know how fresh the data is, right? Because the fresher it is, I know if I reach them first before anybody else, I would be the first person, right? I got the first mover advantage when I do that outreach. The second one is the extent of research. I want to learn more about the person I'm gonna be reaching out to, so I know how to talk to them, and I know what their situation is. One of the key metric that I look at is how much equity is in the property, and you gotta research several locations, different places, and run the calculation in order to come up with an estimated equity on the property. And I find that, and also our clients too, we find it one of some really important information to go in, because if the property doesn't have a lot of equity, chances are it's hard to make a workable deal with the owner. There are different exit strategies, right? Of course, but in general, we want to look for properties that have a high amount of equity. And then, we want to know how accurate the information is, right? The quality of the research and the researchers. So some key elements of a quality leads, especially for pre-foreclosure. We want to know the mortgager and mortgagee information. Mortgager is basically the borrower, right? That's the main person I want to do outreach to. That's usually the person that owns the property. Then I want to know the address information of the property, right? How much it's worth, what's the assessed value. And then on the right, I want to know the financial information. So I want to know what the equity percentage is. I usually try to reach out to the properties that have a higher equity, because there is more negotiation room where we can create a win-win situation. In order to do that, we got to know the loan information. So how much loan was in there. So you got, ideally there is title searches and, a deed of trust searches that need to be done to find all this information. Okay, now that we got the list, we want to narrow it down to a more manageable, focused list. And this is where, kind of that filtering is where you can create your own niche that you can focus on, that, say, you're much better at than anybody else. So this is where you create your competitive advantage, okay? And a couple of kind of hot filters that people use are the address. Maybe it's different cities, right? Let's say you want to focus on the city that you live in because you know your city so well, or maybe it's a city that you don't live in, but it's not as competitive. You can filter by the assessed value. Maybe there's a particular price range that you want to focus your deals to be at. I already talked about equity percentage. That's a really popular one. And then you can also kind of look into a couple of these. So ownership would tell you if the property is owner occupied or not. Okay. If it is owner occupied, it means that the person lives in the house. And if it's non-owner occupied, it means the person is very likely a landlord. They live somewhere else. And you can potentially find that they are an out-of-state owner. And, if they don't live in the house, usually maybe they're more likely to sell the house. Okay. You can also look at kind of loan modification and different type of loan. This is by understanding what the different type of loans are and what type of loan modification it is to really identify the signals where, and this would probably come more from experience or from working with an experienced investor together, that how to leverage this data and really search for the niche that you can focus on. I'm not going to spend too much time. We can spend just like 1 hour just talking about each data field here. So let's talk about how to now kind of market to these. Okay. One very important point I want to share is that let's say there are 1,000 properties, right? And let's say we start with a $1,000 per month marketing budget. Okay, I have $1,000 I can spend. I can either spend $1,000 to reach 1,000 leads, or I can narrow it down to 100 leads and really just focus on reaching this 100 leads. Ideally in multiple ways. I can try to call them, send them letters, right? Maybe even do targeted advertising. That's more advanced to these 100 people. Because now I'm spending $10 per lead, right? If I have 1,000, I'm only marketing to 100 leads. I'm spending $10 of marketing budget to reach that one person. Versus, say, I got this gentleman named Joe, and he has $1,000 trying to reach 1,000 leads. So on average, he can spend $1 per lead. Okay, so who do you think is gonna win out? The person that spends $10 to reach one for each lead, or the person that spends $1 per lead and try to reach them, right? $1 versus $10 to reach the same person. I can't see your responses, but I hope you would arrive at the conclusion that, man, if I have more marketing budget, right, I can reach the person, and I am more likely to win out and reach this person, build trust with this person, because I'm spending $10 on this guy versus my competitor that's spending just $1 on the same person. And there are many things that you can do, right? With $10, with $1, man, $1 buys us a stamp and some change, and I don't know what to do with the change anymore. It's so hard to, $1 we can't really go very far in terms of marketing budget. Okay, so let's next talk about the different kind of marketing campaigns we can use. Now that we have a focus list, we have a very popular class. It's called The Secret of Building an Endless Deal Flow. And it's about creating marketing campaigns that you can do to build a consistent pipeline for deals. You can really, when it comes to marketing, you can apply it to reaching motivated sellers, or you can apply it to, any kind of business. So it's just a really awesome business class in general. And if you enjoy this upcoming segment and you want to learn more, I would highly encourage you to take that class to learn more about marketing. Okay. We also have other speakers and topics that really kind of go deep into some of these items too, such as door knocking. We just recently had a door knocking class, which is phenomenal. So door knocking means you're showing up at the person's door, right? You need to know their address. You need to know who you're talking to ideally. The advantage is that you can talk to them in person and you can build trust quickly. I kind of pointed out here that the effectiveness of a door knocking campaign really depends on the quality of the list, right? You gotta know you gotta have the right address. You gotta know, who you're talking to. This allows you to talk to the homeowners in person, and you get to see the house right away. A lot of times, let's say that they're already ready to sell. You can just go and see the house. You don't need to make another appointment to see the house. To be successful, you need to have the ability to strike up a conversation and build trust very quickly. You also need to have a thick skin. Some people just don't want to talk to you, right? Maybe they scream at your face too, and so just being okay with that. If you're more introverted, like myself, maybe you don't like talking to people. You prefer not to talk to people face to face. You're gonna try other marketing methods. Door knocking is by far the most successful campaign and marketing method that I know. Through our clients. Next is you can do cold call. So we provide a skip trace service. So we skip trace all the properties that are going to foreclosure. You can have multiple phone numbers you can call, and just a tip is that when it comes to phone numbers, because we're using a third-party service, it's very hard to guarantee quality. And usually phone number skip trace, it's just very difficult to get 100% accuracy. So usually we get about 70% hit rate and 70% accuracy. So there are folks that you call and maybe it's a wrong number. That's okay. We got all these numbers, so we can just keep calling. Right? Somebody is always right. Some say some will, some won't, but someone is always waiting. I want to share this cold call script with you. This is also has been shared in another class from our speaker, and I really love their script. So I have started to use it, and that has produced for me as well. So when you call and they pick up. Right. So all you need to say is, hi, is this Mr. Lawrence? And then they go, yes, this is Lawrence. Who is it? And I go, hey, my name is Steve, and I'm just curious if you're aware that your house may be under foreclosure. A lot of times they're already aware. I have had call the same person. That same name, a person with the same name, but just a wrong number, and then they say no. But most people they're already aware, and maybe they're already working with an attorney or something to try to come up with a solution. And so I really like this number 2 and number 3, where number 1 is, have you been able to get with a bank to review any options? Some people may say no, I don't know how, or I'm broke. I don't know what to do. That's a really good opening for you to make an appointment, right? Because our job is really to kind of give them a solution, explore different options where they can see how they can stop the foreclosure. Oh, okay. Another thing that I have learned is that if our approach is to ask if they want to sell, usually I got a lot of a lot of unpleasantness coming back at me, and ever since then I have kind of readjusted my approach and just kind of be an advocate for them. A lot of folks don't want to go through foreclosure, and they don't want to sell. They want to stop the foreclosure. So it's much easier to try the approach of helping them stop their foreclosure and explore the different options that they can do. Okay. And then number 3 is, have they told you that have been approved? So let's say like they already kind of got somebody working on it. But until they got an approval, the house may still go into foreclosure. In fact, like, just last week, I was calling a couple of folks, and they already had somebody helping them work on it. Like, they were either waiting for an attorney, or like they have started working with an attorney, but they didn't get a written confirmation that it's gonna happen. So my advice to them is, make sure you got something written by the end of Friday. So at least you still have, next Monday to kind of follow up. But like by Monday, if you don't get that, your house may go into foreclosure. So it's okay that we don't win the deal, but at least we're helping them, right? The other one I want to share with you is the voicemail script. Okay, this has worked out. When I have scripts, what I realize is with enough practice, I can overcome my call reluctance. And maybe it happens slowly, but if you can just kind of set a goal to make 5 calls, 10 calls to start, maybe sometimes, let's say you're just getting started, just making like 1 or 2 calls just to do that. It will help you kind of break through and get really comfortable, because it's all about having practice. So this voicemail script comes from a book called Rainmaker Conversations, I think, or like How to Become a Rainmaker. So it's a sales, really, really good sales handbook. Really short too. I highly recommend it. So without reading this to you, I'm just gonna leave it here. You can take a screenshot and practice it and see how well it works for you. Okay, I'm gonna leave it up here, and I'm gonna start moving on. Okay, now talking after we talk about these couple of strategies, another strategy we could have talked about is using direct mail and handwritten letters and send it to them. Usually these campaigns are best when it's all combined together, trying to reach the same person in different ways. That usually works the best. Okay, so next, you want to reach out and listen. You want to let the owner know that you want to help them. And foreclosure is a very stressful situation, so you want to be very empathetic and mindful. And maybe the appointment will lead to that they want to sell their property. Maybe it doesn't, but every single time you can make an appointment and have a meeting, you're just that much closer to making a sale, right? Or making the deal. So these are a couple of CRM stages that's also kind of my recommendation. You can certainly start with an Excel sheet to do the tracking. But let's say you start having more leads that you need to manage, then you need to start setting up different stages so you can kind of look at the pipeline and the health of your marketing pipeline. And we'll talk about this more in our marketing class. But the different stages that you want to set up are here. Okay, so going from stage 1 to stage 9. My recommendation: take a screenshot, and if you have questions on how to implement this and all that, we can talk more. But if you are familiar with CRM, you already know what I'm doing, what I'm saying here. If you're not familiar with the CRM, I think it would be a longer conversation. Next, it's very important to do a good repair budget. And you don't necessarily need to know how to do it. I just want you to be aware. If you're new, right? I just want you to be aware that the house very likely is going to need repair to bring it up to the after repair kind of condition, right? And when you make an appointment and meet the seller at the house, you have an opportunity to come up with the repair budget and come up with the estimate. So the better you are at doing it, the more accurate you're gonna be, and then you can come up with the best offer. Right? You can come up with a really good and solid offer. If you don't know how to do it, bring in someone who has the experience and have done it before, so that they can come up with it, and then together you guys can kind of walk through. And usually it's much better if you're new to have somebody kind of show you the way, so that over time you learn how to do it. So it's just a very important part of the offer. So you can do it yourself, about 20 minutes. With practice, you become an expert. You can't bring a general contractor usually unless you already have a contract in place. And then, like I said, a recommendation is to have a mentor or coach or a more senior partner that can come in and kind of fill that role. Okay, so next step, real quick, you want to, now you can negotiate the price. All right, let's say they want to sell, and it's in a situation where you can give them an offer that can create a win-win. You want to focus on their needs, all right, building trust, getting to know their family situation or their personal situation, and you want to know your numbers. So know how to come up with an offer. And I'm not going to dive too much into the formula to come up with an offer. We're assuming that you know how to do that, or if not, that you're gonna kind of read up the literature on that, what we call maximum allowable offer. Okay, we'll have another class if you don't know how to come up with offers. Actually, next Thursday, we're gonna talk about some details of different exit strategy and the formula that you should use to come up with your offer. So, if you don't know how to come up with your offers, no worry, you're gonna learn that next Thursday. All right, so let's say you come up with an agreement, then you can put it in writing. Okay, so there are many things that you may end up negotiating for. It could be the price, the sales price. It could be the terms of the payment. Maybe it's just all cash, or maybe it's a owner finance type of deal. It could be how much earnest money you're gonna put down. How long it takes to close. There are quite a few kind of discussion points that you got to finalize in order to put it into a contract. And when I first had to do it, it was also very difficult to learn how to come up with a contract. So, having somebody that can walk you through it is something I highly recommend. You can learn so much faster, when you don't need to struggle through every single step yourself. All right, and then there might be title issues to be aware of as well. You want to know if the property has other liens. Maybe there are junior liens and some senior liens on the property. So you want to work with an investor-friendly title company. Also, kind of have a way to do the title research, which I think I'll talk about in a couple more slides. And just understand how to do the homework and do the title research. Closing, I have had very awesome, closing. There was one where let's say you agree on closing on a particular day, and that it just happens. But I think it's a little more of a minority of the case. There's usually some delays, right? Let's say you prepare to be closed on Friday, and actually sometimes it doesn't close until later. So just kind of be prepared for contingencies, and if you have a good contract and a seller you already built trust with, you can minimize a lot of the problems. So, but it's just be prepared for things not going the way that you plan to go, and just be flexible. I remember my first closing; it was very nerve-wracking. You think it's gonna happen to this day, and you're you're just like prepare and on standby this whole time, and then it doesn't happen. Next day it doesn't happen. Next day it doesn't happen. Could be kind of stressful the first couple of times. And, after a while you get desensitized. You get better at it. Okay, so to recap, okay, we talked about the foreclosure process, understanding how the foreclosure works, and the gap where we can leverage a pre-foreclosure list and outreach and buy the property or help the homeowner stop their foreclosure before it hits the foreclosure auction. We also talk about different marketing methods and the CRM stages that you can set up to manage your leads. Again, if you're interested in the marketing side of things, there's a class that's available. You can also kind of request. I'm more than happy to deliver a marketing class. I always like talking about marketing. So let me show you a couple of case studies. Okay, all of these are provided by our clients, and some of the names have already been blurred out for their protection. This one, for example, is a $46,000, $500 profit, and this is a wholesale deal. Okay, the next couple of deals is all wholesale. Like, these are big profits for a wholesale deal. Typically, just want to set the right expectation. Is that $5,000 to $10,000 per wholesale fee is already a really good profit, and these are just very outsized profits because we have this awesome client that just does so well, and we kind of handpick the most profitable ones. Okay, so the next one is even bigger. The next one is $85,000, and then the next one is $88,000. So again, don't let these big numbers kind of set your expectation. Expect about $5,000 to $10,000 if you wholesale a deal in terms of making how much profit you can expect from a deal. But these outsized profits are not unheard of either, and folks are extremely happy when they can make this much. Yeah, and one of the success stories that I share is actually the client that shared these cases. All right, so you might be wondering how you can get started. So I got a 3-step process for you. Number one is you want to get a pre-foreclosure list. The more information, the more relevant information, of course, the better. So the benefit of having first-hand data is you have the freshest data available. You can get extensive research done, such as estimated equity. And at a very limited time, you can also enjoy the disruptive pricing that Real Estate IQ has to offer. This is an example of what the interface looks like. Very easy to use, simple to use. You can come in, you can export the data, and then you can start doing outreach. So we got 2 pricing here. One is just the address itself, and then the other one is a skip trace. It comes with skip trace, so you can have phone numbers that you can call as well. Again, just wanted to reiterate that skip trace, because it's not our first-hand data, we have to buy it from a third party. It's not 100% accurate, and you shouldn't expect to have 100% accurate phone numbers when you skip trace. It's more likely the norm that you're not going to reach the person. And I think if you have that expectation going in when you make cold calls, then every single time there's a good hit, like you go, oh, wow, I hit the voicemail and this is the person I'm trying to reach, I feel excited. So I just want to adjust everyone's mindset, especially for those that are ready to get started. You want to do this with the right mindset, and then you're going to be very, very successful. Number 2 is you want to become a community, find a mentor, join a community, and kind of leverage folks that have done it before. Find someone you can trust, and be willing to be held accountable, right? And help you form the right habits to make happen. Real estate investment doesn't need to be a full-time thing. You can get started with, I think, as little as 5 hours a week. Over time, it may take a little more time, but you can kind of, like, if you're just looking for a side hustle or a buy 1 or 2 properties. It doesn't take up that much of our time, and you can do extremely well. Okay, number 3 is you gotta do the title research. The cost for title research is between 40 to 75 per property, and that's through a title company. There are different service providers that provide title research. We're actually working on a title research project right now, and we want to offer this service at a better pricing than what's on the market right now. All right, couple of success stories. This one is $8,000 profit. No, okay, sorry. The next one is the $8,000 profit. This one is using Real Estate IQ to get his first deal and getting started. Profitable growth with substantial gains. When you don't have to worry about leads, right? You can just focus on the outreach and the marketing. You can just you can stay focused in the most valuable activity, and I think that's just so important when you're getting started. Ismail, $8,000 profit in a recent deal. Kind of on average, right? $8,000. I think that's about right. We see about 7,000, 10,000, 5, 7, 10 is usually the number, right, for a wholesale deal. And then Daryl said, he got 4 deals under contract, and already got about $1 million of contract value, and then he's expecting to make 10 to 15% of profit margin out of that. So, not bad for 9-10 months, and we're talking about $100,000 to $150,000 of like equity that you made. And these are, I think, not a rare story. These are very common stories. If you know how to do it, you got the know-how, you got the right path, the right way to execute. Within a year, maybe sometimes a little longer, you can build a pretty good amount of equity, real estate equity, in the deals, and then you're looking good. Maybe it's not liquid when you sell. When you sell the properties, when you become liquid, but when you're sitting on those equity, it's kind of really nice as a real estate investor, knowing that you have built the equity and the wealth already within those deals. Okay, to learn more, you can use this link here, and maybe I hope Sophia, you can help me send this link on the chat as well, in the class chat, so you can book a one-on-one consultation with us to learn what it's all about. Experience the power of firsthand data. And then the next thing I want to recommend to you is learn by doing. We have an event every Friday at 9:30. We're working on the link right now, and you can send me a email at steve.liang@realestateiq.co, and I will send you the link to join. And this is more of an invitation only. We want to have serious and high quality folks that want to do deals with us together. So for example, tomorrow at 9:30 we're gonna have another session. So if you're interested, I look forward to meeting you and seeing you in person, getting to know you. All right, so this is to conclude everything. I hope you really enjoy this class, and if so, please scan this QR code and give us feedback. If you hate it, you don't like it, this is terrible, useless, it's a waste of your time, please do the same. Scan the QR code and give us feedback, just so we know how to improve, right? How are we doing a good job, or are we doing, or is there something we got to fix? So really appreciate your feedback, and thank you for joining us. And we'll give you a prize just as a thank you for sharing your feedback. And finally, best of luck and happy investing. Remember, again, that next Thursday we have the next class, which is how to find great investment deals, where we look at the different type of exit strategy and formula that you're going to use to come up with the right offer where you can make money on the deal. And then tomorrow on Friday, 9:30, you have the online meetup, or MAP online meetup, where we really talk about live deals. We can go over some case studies as well of actual deals, and just learn by doing. If you have a lead, you need help how to close it, or already got a deal under contract, and you want to know if it's something that you can profit on, because sometimes we're seeing is that the folks can get a deal under contract, but then because the term and the offer were not done well, you can turn it into a profit because your offer is just way out of whack. So we're more than happy to give you support and share our experience, and we can make some deals together. So that's it. That's all I got for today, and you can save my email address, and I look forward to getting in touch with you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay,
so Sophia, the stage is I'm passing the stage back to you.
Yes, so actually we have a lot of questions and comments during
Wow.
the event. So would you mind helping me go through all of them and address these
Yeah.
comments? So first, I think you have mentioned this earlier on how can you know what properties are up for bid. I think this one is for the auction.
Yes. So that's where you can get the pre-foreclosure list, and then you will know that those are the houses. Now you got to understand that because it's possible that the house that was scheduled to go into foreclosure may end up not going to foreclosure. So there are times where let's say you do all the due diligence and you try to buy the property at the auction, it already got bought up by another investor, for example. So it may not show up there, but you got the list, so you know which ones were kind of scheduled to be there.
Okay, so this one from Michael Williams. So from time of county posting to time that data is made available on REIQ, how fast is that or fresh is that? How quickly are the leads provided in your list?
Yeah, typically we can offer you about 2 days to add. Some counties faster, some counties maybe a little bit slower. We have a pretty robust system, and if there's some kind of delay, let's say the county is delayed, we'll also tell you.
Okay. So for our next question from Patrice, how much equity should I consider to know it's a good deal?
Okay, that's a really good question. How much equity should I consider to be a good deal? I have folks so if you look at the data, you would find that you can probably find some that are 50% equity, more than 50% equity. And those are extremely good deals because you're kind of buying it 50 cents to a dollar, or there's, more than half of the amount that you can negotiate for, right? You would find that if you kind of change that to more than 40%, now you have a lot more properties that fit that criteria. So I don't know. I think maybe depending on your strategy. So if we're kind of really focused on the amount of equity, I think more than 30 to 35, those are really potentially good deals. Because another thing you gotta add on to that is, what if the house needs a lot of repair, right? And all that rehab budget is gonna eventually come out of this equity that's already in there. So you kind of want to have some buffer there. Usually people prefer to have, not screen out so much opportunities that you may lose out. So, maybe a third, just drawing a line in the sand as a recommendation, I would say 30% is probably good stuff.
Okay, next one from Lynn Saylor. Do you have scripts on setting profitable prices or negotiation tips?
Okay. Scripts on setting profitable prices. Okay, I assume that when you say profitable prices, we're talking about for you as an investor. I would, my approach is I want to be transparent with them. And what we find is that, and I think we'll go over this in next week's class, there's a formula that we follow to come up with the offer because we need. So first of all, we need to make sure that we can make a profit because we're in it to, right? It's a business. There's overheads, right? We still want to be able to, this is not a charity, right? So the formula already have the built-in numbers that you want to use. And so a lot of times I just tell them, hey, because of the other kind of cost that's involved, I need to follow this formula. And based on the number, this is how much I can offer. Like, there are folks that really want to know, I just write down the number for them. And then, then we're solving the problem together instead of, going head to head. And I think, at least in this case, you really want to have we're in it, we're facing the same problem together instead of we're negotiating in a hostile situation.
Yes, because after all, you need to build a relationship also with the homeowner. So
Right,
you don't want to be hostile.
Yeah, a couple of approaches, our speakers have also shared in the past is, that you guys we are on the same side and there's a bad guy. We're trying to fight the bad guy and we're not fighting each other. And I really like that mindset and the positioning.
Okay. Well, we have Ray here. Ray is a beginner. I want to learn how to find, approach distressed homeowners, get property under contract, and then wholesale contracts. What is your recommendation?
Oh yeah, and Ray, I think my recommendation is to join our class at 9:30 tomorrow. So it's a meetup, and so we can go over the process and all that. This is the how to find, approach, get property under contract, the entire process. We have a 90-day program actually that if you are committed and you're gonna go and execute, we believe we can get you a deal in 90 days. And so you can just follow that process and we'll help you find success, going from beginner to getting your first deal.
Okay. So from Robin, I believe that this is for the map class. Do you have to be in Texas to be part of the event?
And you don't. You can join us online. It's gonna be an online Zoom event. We find it to be the most kind of inclusive for folks that are not in the same city, for example, and also what do I want to say? It's the most inclusive because we can do it online. Oh, and it's the most efficient because you don't have to actually go to a place. You can just, right? It's just so much easier to meet when we can do it online.
Yes. Okay. Then lastly, we have from Maria. What does REIQ's data look like, or what can I get from the data?
Yeah,
What information?
that's also a really good question. I think for the sake of time, we want to direct you to sign up for for the one-on-one consultation so that you can kind of see it. Our consultant is going to share with you the data that's available on our portal, and then how you can use that data to do your marketing. What about, so Rodin is asking, the 90-day challenge. Okay, you want to sign up for the 90-day challenge. You can also talk to our consultants. Join our one-on-one consultation and ask about the 90-day challenge. We'll hold your hand and we'll help you make your deal happen. You just gotta commit to like showing up and also doing the work, and you get a deal in 90 days.
Okay, so I guess that's all we have for today, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for next week, I know that this is a two-part class. One is today for pre-foreclosure, and the next one will be next week, Thursday, the same time, on how to find great real estate deals. We will still have Steve as our speaker. And if you want to register and continue this conversation on how to get deals, how to start, then you can register through this QR code. So let's give you time to scan that QR code. We'll give you around 5 seconds.
Thank you.
Okay. Additionally, we have, again, to reiterate Steve's point, we have a map class tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. So if you want, if you couldn't access or if you couldn't access the email or anything, you can also type in map on the comment sections, MAP, if you're interested, and we can reach out to you personally if you're interested with that. Also tomorrow, we also have a Friday open house at 11 a.m. CDT. So if you're also interested in learning more about real estate IQ, how these pre-foreclosure lists also work, or how does it look like the comment that we got earlier, what can you get from those? Then aside from the consultation, we also have an open house tomorrow, free for everyone to attend. So if you're also interested in that, you can type in Friday on the comment section if you're interested in those events. So let's give you time more to register and comment for our Friday open house and for our map class tomorrow. So the map class would be earlier, 9:30, and the Friday open house would be later at 11 a.m. Okay, so I believe everyone's already registered. So I want to thank everyone for staying till the end for our class. We hope to see you again next week for our events and how to find great real estate deals. With that, thank you so much for joining us. And again, we hope to see you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.